Spooky ghosts and goblins are giving you a fright. All the heebie-jeebie boys are coming out at night. So gather round, big boys, we're going to the woods. Grab your best ghost hunting gear and we'll bring home the goods. It's Growlers and Gremlins. It's Growlers and Gremlins. It's Growlers and Gremlins. It's Growlers and Gremlins.
Good evening, people. This is Growlers and Gremlins. I'm Brian. The rest of you can introduce yourself at any point.
I'm John.
I'm Jason, the analyst.
I'm Victor. I'm the solo guest. This week we lost to Austin.
Tragic.
We did lose Austin. It was his nappy time, and he had to return to the nest.
Well, he has a 3-day-a-week appointment. Never mind.
Inside joke. All right, so continuing with the tradition that we set up 2 episodes ago, we have taken an interest in hard liquor now. And for mine, I have lovingly selected the Suntory Whisky Toki, a Japanese whiskey. I haven't tried it yet. I'm hoping it's well. I've seen it before. Here goes.
Oh, yeah. I like it.
It's pretty smooth.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Yeah, I don't know what Austin's issue was with it. I like this. This is good.
Well, the chicken cock was better, and I think that's all he was saying.
Well,
Chicken
cock had more flavor. This is smoother.
I don't know. I think I feel more burn on this
That's
one.
what I thought too.
I thought
It's more
chicken
burn on
cock was
the
pretty
tip.
fiery.
Well,
The tip of your tongue has
okay,
more
I'm
burn.
drinking it neat. You're having it with ice.
Yeah, I have it with ice.
Neat.
Mine's neat as well.
Okay.
I can feel it in my lips and on the tip of my tongue.
The chicken
rest of
cock really hit me in the throat.
it, not deep though.
We're continuing the puns.
Yeah, as long as
It
that.
hit him in the throat, but also went down smooth.
It did. Filled my belly.
John has experience choking down.
He's able to unhinge his jaw and make it a little easier.
What is this called again?
Suntory Whisky Toki.
I like it.
I think it's pretty good. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I
When
like
Austin
this.
said it was awful, I was like, "What are you?"
It's okay, but I've never been a liquor sipper.
Well, this is not. This is definitely not a bourbon. Like this, to me, tastes a little bit closer to a Scotch. I don't
Well,
know
it's-
what the Japanese whiskey
That's fair.
making process is. But
I don't know what it is either,
This is good.
but I would say
Translation. This
There
is
we go.
Scotch.
This very much reminds me of Scotch.
It's
Like a
pretty
good
scotchy.
Scotch.
Yeah.
a vivid blend of carefully selected Japanese whiskeys, silky with a subtle sweet and spicy finish.
Yeah,
I would honestly say that it was sweet
honestly,
on the
I
back
would.
of the tongue.
I would buy this because I know it was cheaper than chicken cock.
$40.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was $25 cheaper than chicken cock.
Fucking really?
That's 65.
Yeah,
for
chicken
that?
cock was
It was
pricey.
$63.90
No,
something.
$64.99.
So it was $60.
What?
It was
the receipt.
You don't
$59.99.
round down for money.
The tag price was $64.99.
Was it?
So it was $60.
Oh, the
We
receipt's
usually-
in the bag. Never mind.
I was gonna say usually when you get something that's $59.99, it's like $64.37.
No, but like,
This was
I
42
really
or
liked
something.
chicken cock a lot, but I also really like this.
This is a sipping whiskey.
Yeah, this
That
is
is for
really
sure.
nice.
This is what you have when you're smoking a cigar, sitting down on a
I don't know. I think a cigar would overpower this.
Yeah, yeah.
It depends on the. It,
I
it
would-
probably has a pairing. I
I'd
could look
go
this up
for-
and look and see like what's a good pairing for this.
Chicken
whiskey.
cock with a peppery cigar
You know
would
what?
be super nice.
I'm gonna
Because
look
chicken
up.
cock had a little bit of spice.
I don't have the receipt, but after tax, it was $69.54. So
Yeah, $64.99.
Carry this for a minute. I'm gonna look up what a good pairing for this is because I might actually try that.
Yeah, this is nice. It almost tastes like some kind of cereal.
It's not that sweet.
What?
No, okay, so it tastes like. Are you guys familiar with like the Quaker Oats brand cereal? And they have those like oat squares that are like almost like a shredded wheat, but it's like made of oatmeal.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what this whiskey tastes like to me.
It says that Davidoff cigars tend to go well with Suntory whiskeys, but those are a little pricier.
Yeah.
But that makes a little bit of sense.
No, look into it and see if it's the same company that makes the whiskey and the cigars.
No.
Yeah, this would go great with our whiskey.
I'm thinking that it would be the
I'm kidding.
Davidoff that has like the white label.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Davidoff.
it's a lighter cigar. Yeah, those are.
Need to go to the Davidoff Lounge in Chicago, get some of their exclusive stock. It's been a while since I've been out there.
Man,
Haven't
why
had
is
to go
this
to-
not a cigar podcast as well?
Hey man,
Make it. It's your podcast.
It is my podcast, but John, being the super douche canoe that he was,
We'd have to record outside.
well, we can't smoke because we don't have anything. And
That's
it's
fair.
rare.
Well, I know. I'm just saying
Well,
in the
find a
future,
nice-
if we wanted
yeah,
to do
find a
cigars
nice
on
weekend.
the podcast, we'd
Look at
have
the
to,
forecast.
because
Just
wind
say,
would really kill
I
us.
could get us just about any cigar we'd want to try. I know a guy.
We keep saying you just need to get like a man shed in the backyard. And
Also, just set up a canopy. That'll block the wind decently if you have like the walls on it.
Yeah, I need to build a whole new deck and stuff.
Seems like it would be hard.
and you might want to wait for lumber prices to unfuck
That's
themselves.
probably a good idea. Yeah.
All right.
It's a little late this evening.
Yeah,
It's only 11:30. What are you talking about?
11:30 p.m. on a Saturday evening in Indiana, and we're telling ghost stories.
exactly. That's exactly what we're doing. What are
We are
talking
having
about,
a
Brian?
slumber party and telling ghost stories.
Technically, yes, we are
Yeah.
having a slumber party. Victor's
Yeah.
sleeping at my house tonight,
I
Victor
am.
drove
as he
6
did
hours
last night.
to come and be with us.
5 hours.
5 hours. I was
Well,
close.
5.5 because it was raining.
So I was
pretty
close
bad.
enough.
Yeah.
We're gonna put on our footy pajamas.
Yes.
We're gonna do our hair
Then we're gonna do our hair, paint our nails, talk about boys.
and the
We're
eventual heat
gonna
death
play
of the
that one
universe.
game, that phone game. You know what I'm talking about?
No, there's like
There's a
40.
Dream date.
Dream Date. We're gonna play Dream Date. Yeah.
Yes.
Jason knows.
Because I lived through that era, so
yeah.
fuck you.
Yeah. His sister.
They had
probably
phones in
that.
your era. I thought you were like 60.
Well, they had a separate earpiece and speaking part.
Well, I mean, we had house phones. That's something that people don't
I'm
have
calling
anymore, right?
3.
No, they don't have those anymore.
I'm sorry. This is 2. Wrong number.
Yeah, you were around when there were party lines, weren't you?
Well, I mean, I think technically I was alive at the same time as the Captain Crunch hacks.
Dude, you remember like back in like 2008 area when like
Area.
like that time range when like late night local TV would advertise phone sex lines?
They would advertise porn like early.
Yeah.
So what's our topic?
Yeah, what are we talking about, Brian?
Oh, yeah, like I said, the douche canoe over here was insistent that I lead a topic because apparently it's not as interesting if someone
Because
else
apparently
takes...
it's your week to do so.
No. I told you, I said, it's okay, Brian, I'll prepare a topic and present
Yeah.
it. And you said, no, it's my episode. I'll present it. You just correct me.
And then the very next day I said, okay, John,
no,
you're probably going to...
this is all today.
No, I'm
you-
talking about
No,
on
you-
Tuesday when you were like, hey, I can have a topic prepared if you don't. I'm like, hey, give me a night to check this out. Next day, didn't look up anything. I said, John, just take care of it.
And then I said, okay, I'll do it. And then today you were like, no, it's my episode. I will present it and you correct me. So you're going to present it and
Yeah,
I'll
that-
correct you.
That's exactly what you said at Buffalo Wild Wings. Is
I
that
don't remember that. I don't
It
either.
was only a couple hours ago.
You were going to present it to the best of your knowledge or just make it up and I'll correct you with the accurate information. It'll be fun.
All right. So,
It sounds like most Brian episodes.
No, because this could actually be really fun. This could make for a good episode. We're just going to let Brian lay out his whole narrative of what he thinks this is, and then I'll tell the actual story. Because his story may be more entertaining
That's
than the
good
truth.
because I actually don't know a whole lot about it.
all right. So, the Devil House of Gary, Indiana. Demon House, Devil House. Something. It was a D. Devil House.
Deviled Egg House.
Yes, Deviled Egg House. The Deviled Egg House was a I think they call it the Ammons case because that was the name of the family that lived there. Dick.
I didn't
he's
say
not going to
anything.
react in order to give you.
I want to hear your whole story
hear my
before
story?
I lay this out.
All right, so I don't know the names. Like I said, John's supposed to be doing it, but I think it was the Leota Ammons.
Yoda.
Leota. Lyodha.
I thought you
Like
said
Ray Liotta?
Yeah, sure. I don't know who Ray Liotta is.
Isn't he an actor or something?
Ray Liotta.
I don't know. Continue.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, sounds like a real name. I think I've heard it before,
It
but I
was
don't know
a
where.
case of a mother, her 3 children, and her mother. It was the grandmother of the children, the mother, and their 3 children.
Accurate.
And they lived in a house, and I think it was Lake County.
Yes.
Lake County and Gary, since that
Yes.
encompasses the entire, pretty much, Michigan coastline. It's just Gary.
No.
I don't
Wait,
know.
what?
Lake County's pretty large.
Yeah, I was gonna say it eats up like half the lakefront, probably.
Lake County.
Lake
yes.
County's the entire northwest
northeast
corner.
Or, yeah, northwest.
of
Yeah.
Indiana.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. No, I didn't mean to say Michigan. I meant Lake Michigan. But it was a haunting that had started as they would notice that these black flies would be showing up at their house and dying. You know, if you've seen what's the movie?
Dark Skies,
No.
where the birds.
No, it's one of the Warren movies. I think it was the first one with the witch that hung herself.
The Conjuring.
Yes. It's kind of like that. And it would start with that, and then it would transfer to Toyota. Toyota would find herself, or actually the family would find themselves hearing, they would hear footsteps in the basement or coming up the stairs. There would be the strange door closing, pretty standard demonic household stuff. And it was getting to them. They were freaking out pretty well. This was back in 2011, I think, so fairly recent, 10 years.
To be fair, I got to give this to Brian. He's saying Leota or Toyota. Her name was Latoya. He's not far off.
Leota or Toyota?
Latoya.
Yeah.
Latoya. Okay, I knew
the name of the homeowner.
Okay. But,
Toyota.
But after all that, I mean, The Conjuring almost got this pretty decently. As I can just go back and be like, yeah, what happened in The Conjuring is kind of what happened in this house, except the kids were the ones possessed instead of the mother. And I guess it got to a point where it was so bad that 2 of the children were possessed at the same time, speaking whatever the fuck language. And I think they had to have a bishop go up and cleanse the house, if I remember. But I remember I was reading about it vaguely, and it's like, oh, people are getting thrown through walls or into walls, breaking shit. The sounds of footsteps, doors rattling, all that, super aggressive, like something is actively, like somebody breaking into your house. It's one of those sensations where there is no safety to be found. You can feel the evil all around you. They had blood coming out of the walls, that kind of deal. I don't know how much of that one's true, but it's weird. I didn't read that far, so I don't know what the end. I know the end is that they have demolished the house since and cleansed the land. A local church goes back and cleanses it pretty regularly, just to be sure, because that was a pretty serious concern for them coming forward. And that's about all I know.
Moderately decent summary, actually.
Is it? Cool.
You actually did get some key details in there.
Like Toyota.
Well, no, there were bits and pieces about the kids and things like that.
Skimmed it to the best of my ability.
Yeah, very, very heavily skimmed.
Heavily skimmed.
So, yeah.
Now, what I
Like a butter spread on a bagel.
I can't believe it's not butter, though.
It's not. It's demons.
Exactly.
Can't believe it's nut butter.
That's exactly what margarine is. It's demons.
What I want to know is,
I can't believe it's not butter. It's demons.
You invite it into your house every time you get margarine. That is the devil's butter. It's still bad for you.
Says more butter, more better.
but what I want to know, does this actually have anything to do with The Conjuring? Or is it
No.
just...
No, absolutely nothing.
Oh, okay, cool.
No,
'Cause
it was the closest thing I could
remember
describe
any of this
to
in The
it.
Conjuring.
This happened
10 years
during
ago.
a time period from November 2011 to May of 2012.
Was it 12? The 14 was when they did the...
So this is the time period in which Latoya Ammons owned this house. Latoya Ammons lived there with her mother and her 3 children. Latoya's 3 children.
The DeVille house?
No, this is a house in Gary, Indiana.
The DeSatan house.
And basically, they felt that there was something very dark, highly intelligent, and powerful in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And they would experience things like spirits choking them out. And
Choking them out? You mean until they pass out?
Yeah. And basically,
Go to sleep.
spirits
I
that
turned on Xbox.
would abuse you. Like, if you felt fear, Rosa, Latoya's mother, once described feeling a presence in the basement, getting scared, and starting to pray. And she said they do not like it when you pray because they start attacking her more furiously and choking her. And one of the grandchildren, one of Latoya's children, was once experienced something, and he started reading in the Bible, and he was thrown against the wall by these spirits. One of Latoya's daughters said that the spirit appeared, like manifested in her room one night, and she described it as a black looming monster. They also described seeing an apparition of a withered old lady with red eyes and a hood. And the house bled clear, odorless oil from the walls, which I don't know what this is. But this is a
Satan's tears.
Rare case of a very well-documented haunting. So much so that the local police department actually filmed. At one point, it was believed that LaToya Ammons was possessed, and the local police department actually filmed her exorcism. And upon investigation, like, police officers left there, and they're like, "I'm not coming back."
Is that available? That footage?
I don't know that the footage is available. I have not been able to find it. But they also have recordings.
Seems like something you could do a Freedom of Information Act request on.
Probably.
Maybe. It depends. If they were requested at by their superiors. If it was just somebody doing, they don't have to keep that.
Yeah.
If the church asked them to do it, then the church gets
the
copy.
Police officers also picked up EVPs, voices on the recordings of these this exorcism that they did not hear at the time when they were in the room, but then when playing back the recording, heard these voices, and apparently they're very clear.
Yeah, but you know how to fake EVPs.
Like, understandable?
Well,
why would the cops fake it?
But yeah, the other thing was, the house is known as the Portal to Hell House, or as Zak Bagans calls it, the Demon House.
It is in Gary, so
yeah, it's in Gary. So
I mean that's almost hell.
I mean, it's accurate.
It's not quite Chicago, but it's close.
It's probably worse.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, than Chicago.
But Chicago's
crime rate wise,
Illinois.
homicide rates.
Chicago's in
I don't
Illinois.
know.
So
I don't know. Like,
Chicago's
per capita.
increasing. Well, okay, if you throw in per capita, sure, maybe, but just...
I mean, per capita, Indianapolis is worse than Chicago as of this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think we've beat the last 5-year record.
Yeah, it's getting crazy.
5 months.
But anyway, this stuff starts happening to them, and they honestly believe no one is going to believe them, because it's like, obviously, this is modern times. This is crazy
if
stuff.
You can't capture it on an iPhone.
It got to the point where 2 of LaToya's sons became possessed at the same time and started chanting in some language she didn't understand, like chanting creepy things, and like they started being thrown around the room. And this was witnessed by police officers. This was witnessed by Indiana Department of Child Services. This was also influenced by nurses and doctors at the ER, because when they were being thrown around, they took them to the ER because they didn't know what to do. They were chanting, being thrown around. And in the ER, one of the boys walked backwards towards the wall and then walked backwards up the wall until he was at the height of the mother's head. Then he flipped over her and landed on the floor, and then both boys lost consciousness. And
sounds like a demon's just trying to show off.
The craziest thing about this is that I remember hearing this news story at the time that it happened. It was news all across the state, like in a hospital near Gary, this kid who the mother believed was possessed by demons walked up a wall. And it was like, what?
Yeah, I vaguely remember
hearing that news
too,
story,
yeah.
and I was like, what is this? Like, how is this not bigger news? This is insane.
I'm trying to remember what I was doing at the time, because I don't remember this story at all.
This would have happened. This was in
ace.
2012 that event happened. I believe it was April of 2012.
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah. I was in the process of quitting one job and starting another. So, yeah, I wasn't watching the news.
I was a senior in high school.
Yeah, it was very interesting. At one point, one of the boys...
Yeah, we all 3 were...
Seniors.
Was in the basement, and he felt that something was stabbing him in the stomach repeatedly.
You said one of the boys?
Yeah.
In the basement?
Yeah, in the basement of the house.
Dark, damp, perfect place for a stabbing.
Yeah, well, so...
Demon stabbing.
All of this crazy stuff happened. It was witnessed by a lot of people. And so, this is interesting. sorry, I forgot to mention this, but there was another time when the family doctor witnessed the youngest son. They saw it, is what they say, trying to come out of him. It was trying to break loose in front of the doctor. His head was turning, his eyes rolled back, his mouth went crazy, he started talking in tongues, and then he was thrown across the room. And,
So the first scene in Constantine.
yeah. So the nurse who witnessed this would not go back into the room, while the doctor, realizing this was well beyond his capabilities, called police and paramedics to take the child and his brother to the ER, which is where the walking up the wall happened.
Yes. The reverse
So
Spider-Man.
the entire thing was just absolute insanity. And this family, eventually, they left the house. They only lived there from November of 2011 to May of 2012, so only a few months.
7 months.
Yeah.
6.
And then they
Right.
left.
Well, it depends on
November,
when.
Yeah.
December.
November,
Yeah, 7 months. So
That seems like a long time.
that's not very long.
No,
But
with
apparently
that kind of
most
shit.
of these activities didn't start until the spring of 2012.
Oh, demons
So,
came out of hibernation, and we're like, yo, got a quota to fill.
So it's just a crazy thing, and like it seems like, well, why would they make this up? They gained nothing from making this up.
The people actively would think you are insane.
Yeah, they gained nothing out of this.
Well,
and
not
they
only
had to
that,
move
but
out of
there
their
are so
house.
many different people. The police, Child Protective Services,
The doctors.
the family. Like, there are a lot of people who are claiming this.
Yeah, there are a ton of witnesses to this haunting, which is what makes it so interesting, because there's so many hauntings.
And Gary
that, like,
had
we
enough
have
notoriety.
nothing on other
It's
than
not like Gary needed any
Murder capital,
attention.
Indiana. Till Marion
And-
County.
there's so much about it that, like, why bother? You know,
What?
you gain nothing. Everyone thinks you're crazy.
Why put that
and-
kind of stigma on your family?
Yeah, they just seemed to be genuinely terrified of what was happening to them. There is no reason that the police department would claim to have witnessed these things. No reason that the doctors and nurses would say they saw these things if it didn't happen. So they move out of this house, and clearly that's a difficult thing for them to do. They live in Gary. They likely no, for real though, they likely do not have money. So moving is probably a very difficult thing, and so they had to move out of this house out of fear.
I like the thought
And
that the church assisted them.
I don't know, but basically the house sat empty for 2 years after they left. And then Zak Bagans, which we've mentioned this before on the podcast, but we're going to go into detail.
Douche canoe.
Yeah, Zak Bagans in 2014 bought the house for $35,000 and decided to film a documentary called Demon House, where I will give him credit for this. He went there, he interviewed witnesses, he interviewed the family, all of these different people, and, you know, got the real story out of everyone. And, you know, everyone was telling him, like, don't go there, don't do this. And so he decided to go in the house, and for, I believe it was a week or maybe a month, he locked himself in the house and boarded up the doors and windows and put cameras in every room. And, you know, he was going to get to the bottom of it, confront whatever was there, you know. And throughout the documentary, you see some things that's like, oh, that's probably fake. That's probably fake. But there's really no way of knowing. But in the end of it, you know, he claimed to have seen this big black figure, and it permanently damaged his eyes and all this stuff. And it's like, okay, you know. And then to ensure that no one else can investigate the house or do any paranormal investigations, he decides the house is too evil and must be demolished. So, I mean, he owns the house, he has every right to demolish it, but it really kind of delegitimizes his story because no one can ever challenge it.
Yeah, because
Which
it's the whole
It's like, oh,
scientific
you
process.
can't prove me wrong, I'm definitely right, but it actually just makes him look more wrong.
Right. The whole
And-
scientific process is that an experiment can be repeated. And by demolishing the house, his experiment can no longer be repeated to verify its results.
And what do you mean? What did he claim it did to his eyes?
it gave him some kind of I can't remember what it was that he said, but he said he'd have to wear like special glasses the rest of his life. But it's like, man, Zak Bagans, you already wore glasses. Like, how are we gonna verify that, you know, something genuinely happened to you? And I don't know, the whole thing just seemed very played out, like in the documentary.
You saw his like coverage of like Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Yeah, it was
going
very
and
Zak
seeing
Bagans.
the Annabelle doll and stuff. He's a douche nozzle. I mean,
But he's dramatic. He knows how to sell a TV show.
right.
He's been very successful. And I don't know how I feel about the guy, because
he's
part of the reason we judge him so harshly is because of the way he looks.
well, he sells a narrative that is acceptable by people that already believe.
Yes, but also I would like to assume, and just trying to be as non-judgmental of him as I can,
I'm gonna be
that he wanted to start a show like Ghost Adventures because he did genuinely believe in things like that. So if you're someone who genuinely believes in that, why would you want to fake a bunch of things? You know, you would want to actually try to find truth and be honest. So I don't know. It's just my judgment of him skewed the entire documentary to make me think like, okay, he's faking like all of this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It could be genuine, because just given the experience that this family had in this house, that seems very legitimate. Maybe he did experience some crazy stuff in that house, so much so that it scared him to the point that he thought the house needed to be demolished.
Or maybe he played it up so much in promotionals that he didn't experience what he thought was enough, so he had to play it up.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah,
It's really hard to say.
There's been stuff like that in the past.
There were definitely some odd things captured in there, like, you know, noises and things moving, light issues, things like that. But
well, there's been like TV specials where we're going to open up some Egyptian tomb live on TV, and they play it up like it's good. There's going to be something in there, and then there's nothing.
yeah.
So
Well, I mean,
it could
you
have been
never
he's a
know.
victim of his own marketing.
Well, I mean, my thinking was a lot of what was captured in the documentary was not while he was in the room. It would just be something a camera picked up while he was in another room. And it was like, you know, so being in there at the time and cameras are rolling, how does, you know, he wouldn't know what the cameras got or didn't get. And so it would be hard to decide, like, okay, I need to fake something. It also could have just been going a little stir crazy because he was locked alone in a creepy haunted house for
24 hours.
No, it was
like a week or a
either
month,
a week
you
or a
said.
month. It was a pretty extended period of time.
I mean, was he locked alone, or was he TV locked alone?
He was
Kinda
alone.
Like Bear
They
Grylls.
mounted cameras, and so that's why the whole thing's kind of weird to watch, because it's like you're watching CCTV footage the entire time. And I don't know, the whole thing was just kind of weird, and it gives you weird vibes. But I don't know, there's so much stuff that he's done in the past that just makes me like, I don't know, like he claimed that one of his producers or cameramen got possessed by a demon and they actually had to fire him because he had gone insane, and it was like, I don't know about that.
That sounds like dodging a workman's comp.
Yeah. But
I don't know, is possession covered under workman's comp?
It depends on what kind of coverage you got, I guess.
yeah, I don't know, maybe.
I mean, you can...
At Hobby Lobby.
And Chick-fil-A.
And
Woodmiser.
But I don't know. I think about that, and like I remember the day hearing that news story. I heard it on the radio that a kid walked up the wall in a hospital, and it was like, you never hear modern accounts of like what seems to be a possession. And it was just like, that's scary.
So is there any footage of the kid walking up the wall?
No, just witnesses.
I don't know,
but like, what motivation would there be for these people in the ER to lie about it?
So ER
this happened in the ER,
like downtown.
Yes, but
this was back. It was everything that this family has said, and everything that's been done has been corroborated by Indiana Department of Child Services, police officers, people in the ER, doctors, nurses. Like it's so well documented and witnessed that it's like, whoa, something happened.
Well, I mean,
we don't know what, but something happened to this family.
like I've been in the ER before, and I know that you could sit there for hours and not see a nurse. So there are times when there's no one else in the room with you.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
that's
no, this
assuming
was
you get a room in an
supposedly
ER.
this happened in front of other people.
Okay, all right.
And like it means it was so much so that it made the news near Indianapolis. Like there's this little local thing that happened in an ER near Gary was on the news around here. So I mean, like obviously there was
run anything in the news.
I don't know, but I don't know. It's weird because you hear all these, like, there's the classic stories of like exorcisms and possessions, you know, like the one that the Exorcist movie was based on, and like things
Emily
like
Rose.
that. The recent Conjuring 3, the case of what's his name?
David, whatever.
I forgot.
His name was,
I just watched all those movies. Like I binged them all in a row, and I can't.
Arnie
Kursowitz.
Arnie something.
Arnie sounds correct.
Yeah, his first name was Arnie. Guy that had the, you know, the devil made me do it case. But, you know, there's all these classic stories, but you don't usually hear about anything modern. And
Well, when was Arnie?
that was in the
1960s.
No, that was in like the 80s. But
While you're at it, find out his last name.
yeah,
Because it was
What was that?
David
movie?
was the original kid
yeah,
that, you know, they were trying to exorcise, and the claim was that a demon jumped from David to Arnie, and blah 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 blah.
yeah.
And all the shit with the witch totem in
In the movie, that
is
was all made up.
bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's just that kind of stuff just is freaky. Like, how does a kid walk up a wall backwards? You know?
I mean,
those
is it
are like
he walked up the wall backwards, but his hands were on the dresser.
No, apparently, because I wanted to look it up because I vaguely remembered this happening.
I found the story in the Northwest
Arnie-
Indiana Times, but
But
because I'm not a
this says-
subscriber, it wouldn't let me read it.
Arnie Johnson.
This
1981.
did it say how old it says 7-year-old boy walks up wall backwards after being possessed by a demon. He was
7,
rushed,
9, and 12.
he was rushed to the hospital after his family moved into a property dubbed the Portal of Hell House.
Yes.
And it said it was caught on police body cam. And I know this is an audio only podcast, but this is what it shows, which shows the kid kind of on the wall with a mom, kind of, I'm assuming his mom or some relative holding his hand as if not holding him up there, but like, because
trying to pull him
because it
down.
said in the article, I very briefly skimmed
the
it. It said they
positioning
were
of his legs in this image, if this is true body
Yes.
cam footage, do not imply that he would be able to support his weight up the wall.
absolutely
His
not.
legs
Yes.
are too vertical,
Yes.
and the look on his face is absolutely
it said,
terrifying.
yeah, it said that he escaped his family's grip, started walking backwards up the wall.
This
So-
very much looks like dramatized footage when you hit play.
No, it is. I think it is, but it says in the article that is the footage from the body cam. I don't really
Yeah,
know. I tried looking at it quickly. I was fast forwarding.
Yeah.
But still,
Apparently, there's a lot of this whole situation captured on camera. Like the police filmed an entire exorcism that happened of the mother.
yeah.
And I can't find the footage, but supposedly the Gary Police Department does have footage of this. And like that's weird, man.
Yeah.
I don't want to go into too much detail, but I did look into after that documentary, like, where are these people now? And they're actually quite near here.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
So they're still in
Just
the
trying
state.
to get
it
on
sounds
with
like
their lives, yeah, but different city.
Right. But no, I mean, short of, you know, people walking up walls, I mean, I would try to explain it by when you have someone that has a strong belief in some, you know, a religion that supports the idea of possession, they are predisposed to not only believe that they are possessed, but to act the way that they think a possessed person should act.
That's fair, but that also assumes that every corroborating witness has that same belief and predisposition.
Yeah.
Right. But, I mean, you also talk about a community. Communities tend to
I think
worship together.
Well, I think that
right?
Gary's a large enough community to where that wouldn't be the case. Because Gary's quite large, even though
Right.
it's very run down. It's a pretty large community. And the other things that don't get explained by that is like the situations you have that occur in multiple possessions where someone starts to chant in a language that they do not know. You know, and it is Latin or something, and it's like there's no reason this child
And it's legitimate.
would know
The child
it.
doesn't know, but that no one else around him knows either. So it just sounds like a legitimate language without.
Well, no, but a lot of
being
times
any
it
language
is
at
a
all.
legitimate language. Like they'll have recordings of these things, and it's like, well, how does
And
that happen?
like
Or the sound, the effect of where one of the things that's commonly reported in possessions is where when someone speaks, it sounds as if multiple people are speaking from their body,
Right.
and that's an almost impossible thing to replicate.
That, and
like,
if you
with your
think
own
about
voice.
a young child speaking, like, even if a young child was faking it, speaking gibberish to sound even similar to another
an actual
language,
language would be
is
quite
difficult. Yeah.
I mean, that's the level of, like, if you put a bunch of chimpanzees in a room with a typewriter, eventually they'll write Shakespeare. Like, it's that level of, like,
yeah.
you know, because toddlers making gibberish is usually nowhere near close to a language.
Right.
Yeah.
Or it's just, like, a very slight play
Or
on
even
English.
elementary, not necessarily toddlers. Like, elementary
Yeah, I mean,
kids
this is
just
a
speaking
7-year-old
German.
kid,
Yeah.
you know, and apparently the kid had no recollection of the whole experience, but just that walking up the wall and the level of coverage that got, just that story has always stuck out to me. And so when that documentary came out, I got really excited and I watched it, and I was just so disappointed because I feel like it could have been covered but so much better by someone else. But I mean, they interviewed neighbors and people in the area, and they were all like, yeah, don't go near that house.
Right. But it's just one of those things that you're trying to be skeptic of it. There are things that's like, well, that's difficult to be skeptic of, you know.
Yeah.
The walking up the wall. I mean, I didn't see the image, but the walking up the wall. I mean, there's no.
The funniest thing about it is
there
that
are
the
things
level
like-
of corroboration even more makes it like, well, there's not enough information here. Because, like, why do these people believe all of this? Why did all these people say they saw it? I need more information. Where, like, if you didn't have that corroboration, you could just be like, yeah, it's not real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But with that, it makes it even more like, where's the info? Give us the videos. Give us these recordings. Like, that stuff's crazy.
Should be pretty easy.
Well, like it's like a childhood game.
Press play. It's like 3 seconds, and it's all slow mo.
It's the dramatization of what happened.
But that's apparently what they saw,
Right.
You know.
which is interesting.
Right.
And again, the thing that really gets me is that there are 4 or 5 different groups of people who are entirely unrelated, other than this event,
That all claim that this happened.
say the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, one of the first things I tried, like, well, maybe there was a childhood game, light as a feather, stiff as a board, right? Where, you know, you chant light as a feather, stiff as a board, light as a feather,
Wasn't
stiff
that
as
a
a board.
girls' game?
Yeah, but I
Yes.
don't think that a 7-year-old in 2012 would know that.
Right, but I mean, but that's a trick based in physics, right?
Yeah.
Where people don't believe that they are capable of lifting that much weight, but you know,
But with all those hands together,
right.
Yeah.
But that doesn't appear to be the situation here. This is one person who barely has a grip on the child, and the child's moving backwards up the wall.
and the thing is, I'd be so much more skeptical if the child went forward up the wall, like running up a wall and doing a backflip.
Yeah.
But to go backwards up a wall
That's a very specific.
And even
is
to be 7,
extremely difficult.
and he's 7.
I mean, I don't even know if it's physically possible for a person to run backwards up a wall. Even
Yes.
a gymnast
Brian,
or
move your
something.
chair. Go ahead and try it.
No.
I don't want to break John's wall.
Yeah, really? Brad's going to take that first step and put it through the siding on the outside of the house.
There's no insulation in there.
That's why I wanted him to do it. It'd be funny to watch him fuck himself up.
I wonder if I took a running start from that wall straight to this one. I wonder if I could make it between 2 studs and just right outside.
Probably.
I think you could make it through 2 studs.
Yeah. You don't need to go between.
John, you got another window now.
Yeah, big one.
I think if you tried hard enough, you can make it up to you know, touch and grab the
No,
bottom.
I would, even if I had my hands, I would just rip all the drywall out. Because I could actually punch a hole, put my hand through, and go to pull my weight up, and it would just go.
I don't know. I'll never forget hearing that news story about the kid that ran backwards up the wall in the hospital. Like,
Right.
all these witnesses around, and like,
Yeah, like I said,
and especially for it to have been an Indiana story, I was like, ooh, that's scary. The demons are close.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, well, you always thought they were
gonna
close
get
to you.
me. Yeah. That's a...
But
gotta build that railroad.
Which is trying to be like trying to approach this from a skeptical standpoint. I don't have a good explanation as to an alternative to possession.
Nobody does.
Right.
You know, because like even like you take a lot of the old cases of possession, people assume now that like it could have been something like Tourette's or various other like psychological disorders.
Yeah, Tourette's
but, like,
are not going to throw you up a wall.
Day, there's, you know, if you want an official exorcism, the Catholic Church claims to be the official exorcists, and if you don't do it through them, it's not a real exorcism. But they have processes in place because of liability. They will not do an exorcism unless all other things have been ruled out. They make you see a psychiatrist and all these different tests, and they will not do an exorcism unless they have determined to the best of their knowledge that absolutely you are possessed. Because that would be bad if someone needed mental help.
Right.
You know,
And
they
you
needed to
put
see
them
a
through the
psychiatrist,
suffering of
and you put them through the trauma of an exorcism, and it just made everything worse. That's a liability problem.
There's a television show that I can't recall the name of that basically is that process of...
The screening process of exorcism?
Yeah. I can't think of the name of it, but it follows like...
Kitchen Nightmares.
See, yeah, Gordon Ramsay will exercise you
with the duck sauce.
But it's actually a really good show. And that's where I got the idea for demonic oppression from.
Yeah, because years ago, Indiana, and like the way that the Catholic Church is set up, they have exorcists for specific areas and regions, different archdioceses. And the guy who was the exorcist for Indiana...
Cool, dude.
Was giving a seminar in this church, and it was just free to attend. You go hear him talk, and I went to it with a few other people, and it was so interesting because he really like he was such a like open guy. You know what I mean? He wasn't very like priesty, if you know what I mean. Like he was just really open about the whole thing. He said that like, you know, in the Catholic Church, exorcist is the job that nobody wants.
Right.
Nobody wants to be that guy. No one wants to deal with it. And you don't really have a choice in the matter. You know, if you're picked to be the guy, you're the guy. And
it's a selection process?
Yeah,
like you don't volunteer for it?
You don't volunteer.
Hamilton. You're just chosen.
Of the church.
In what way? Like how are you chosen?
I don't remember the exact process, but he was the guy. And
I would assume belief in God and mental fortitude are the two.
He had some
an old priest and a young priest.
Well, not even
He had some very interesting stories.
I'm thinking Helsing
and,
priests.
You know, he talked about how it almost becomes like part of the job. In that, like, he's like, yeah, people always ask me, you know, what I do after an exorcism. And he's like, oh, I go to Wendy's and I get a Frosty and I go home and go to bed. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, it's part of the job, you know? But he said there are some times where there are some things that'll genuinely scare him. But, like, he said he has had experiences where he believes that, like, something followed him home. And he'll like wake up in the middle of the night to something choking him, and like,
oh god,
you son of a bitch!
I'll
kill you.
He had some really good stories, and he went over all the processes they have to go through because he was saying that exorcisms are very rare because most of the time they do get ruled out as mental illness, but they do happen.
Well, at this point in 2021, everybody has some mental illness.
Yeah.
And we can diagnose everything as mental illness now.
But some things that were mental illnesses are not anymore. Don't get that wrong.
Get a little close there, John.
Sorry.
The alphabet boys might come for you.
Oh, man. Which ones?
Both of them.
The alphabet boys refers to so many things now.
Yeah.
I actually approach these types of things in skepticism as well, and I have no idea what else this could possibly be, especially, again, potentially dramatized, but that just seems so weird. Like, there's no physical way that a 7-year-old with someone only lightly kind of holding his hand, like, There was no pressure given, even if there was any type of support.
He got away from her too.
Yes,
like
not even her, like family. It said he broke the grip. A 7-year-old broke the grip of his family, like implying multiple people were holding him, and then walked backwards up a wall with some crazy looking face,
and then did a flip.
Yes, over
and landed
someone
behind them.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like
parkour demons.
Well,
Parkour.
I mean, that's just...
Well, everything short of the wall walking, there is an explanation for, right? The bleeding
being
walls,
choked, the feeling like you're being stabbed. The bleeding walls could be explained.
Yeah,
the feeling like you're choked. That's sleep paralysis is a.
This was
documented.
not.
Yeah, but in the basement,
this was not in the
midday.
sleep. This was while she was doing laundry in the basement.
Oh.
Like,
Be more specific, asshole.
Yeah, they were very specific in their description of these
Maybe there was a Puerto
encounters,
Rican
and it
down
was
there.
like
Yeah, this sounded
this stuff
basement
was so legit.
midday,
Yeah, a lot of the stuff happened in the basement,
and then apparently got worse when they started praying.
Mm-hmm. And now I will say Zak Bagans found some weird stuff in the basement. I don't know if he planted it or if it was already there, but there was like underneath the stairs that go down to the basement, because it was kind of like a cellar style basement. He found some weird stuff buried. I can't remember exactly what it was.
It was a dirt basement.
Yeah, it was kind of like
I'd be interested.
cellar.
I'd be interested to hear if the family had seen his documentary and what they had to say
I would
about
imagine
it.
they have seen it.
And I wonder what they had
because
said
some of
about
them
it.
were interviewed in it.
Oh yeah,
So,
you're right. That's
like,
fair. Yeah. I just wonder what they say about the final product.
I don't know.
That'd be interesting.
I'd love to get one of them on the show.
Yeah.
That's probably true.
Because, well, no, I mean, because LaToya, I believe, lives near here. But I don't know
we're
that
nobody,
that's something
so.
she would want to even...
She's already
I
done.
assume that
not
this
even
family
on the-
has like moved on and want to distance themselves from this
Yeah,
experience
but not even
and
on
don't
the
want to live it
show.
out.
I was
And
gonna say
that's-
not even on the show. You could just
Well, see, that's another
communicate
thing
with her.
though that makes it seem very believable to me, is that they have not capitalized on this.
No
They
movie
have
deal,
not
nothing.
tried to, make a whole thing of it. They're just going on with their lives, getting away
anyone
from it all.
who
They're
genuinely
not out
wants
in the
to
public
distance
eye.
themselves seems like
It just
they,
makes it seem like it's
No,
legitimate.
no.
They've not profited from this.
Because that could swing both ways. It could be also that they don't want to push it in the news because they can't substantiate their claims.
Their claims are already corroborated by so many people.
Right, but I mean, it's one of those things that can they produce that evidence that will?
What evidence do you need, though?
Well,
I mean,
this
the
news
thing is,
article I saw said that it had police body cam footage, and it sounds like there was also police body cam footage of an exorcism.
I wish this would be released to the public. Well, no, I don't even think the exorcism was police body cam footage. I think they intentionally filmed it.
Oh, I see.
I wouldn't be surprised. Training purposes for the
And
church.
like I said, even the Department of Child Services was involved because they were
Yes.
concerned that, maybe this is some, crazy people.
with
But
kids.
even people within DCS were like, there's something going on. Like, it's... I mean, how do you fool everyone?
Yeah.
There's no way.
Oh, and there was it was actually the subject of the second Conjuring movie, The Girl in England.
Mm-hmm.
That
in England.
yeah. That she had people, researchers there, fairly well fooled. So I mean,
But how old was this girl in England?
I honestly don't know. Like, all I know about it is from the movie and a little bit of why the movie was.
I don't know. Just the whole
Not
thing to
true
me is
reality.
it's like, I don't know, a whole family banding together to be like, hey, we are going to pretend to be possessed by demons for no benefit to ourselves, and like,
convincingly to four different groups of people.
There's no gain.
And 7-year-olds.
Right.
Like a 7-year-old that's that convincing.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing.
Is just
I could tell if a
ridiculous.
kid is faking something, and I feel like anybody could. If a kid's faking like they're being possessed, you're gonna be like, nah, kid.
Brian, what are your thoughts on this? You haven't said a whole lot.
Oh, I mean, I've made my opinions clear on demons and shit. in the past.
Honestly,
Yeah, but
I
what
don't
about this
remember though. Like, how does Brian feel about like demonic possession and things?
I believe it's there.
Yeah.
It's something that can happen. It just doesn't happen enough.
I don't think it happens often
doesn't happen
either.
enough.
I think it's
I think it needs to happen to more people.
I do think it's extremely
Because
rare.
you hear about
Yeah, I know. His wording was just
Also, though,
funny.
on the other hand, it could be way more common than we realize, but doesn't manifest in the way that it used to.
it. Yeah, now it's all in iPhones.
Like they're picking up on different ways.
This is your demon.
Yeah,
manifest
what if like demons have figured out a subtle way to possess people so that it won't be figured out?
It's this. It's right here.
The iPhone.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, but like
Technology.
for real, like the things that are accepted in our society these days are crazy.
also-
you know, some of the
also-
things that you can get away with now that you couldn't get away with before.
Kink.
Is some stuff like, what if like some things
Working
are
for children.
genuine demonic
Well, even
possessions,
mental
but you would
illness.
never even notice it?
Even mental illness, because we're widening the scope
yeah,
of
wouldn't
what
you
a
think-
diagnosis for mental illness
And
is.
wouldn't you think that a demon would be able to disguise itself as a mental illness?
Well, not
Yeah.
only
Hey, I
that.
represent that claim.
Well, not only that, but we are widening the scope.
Jason is possessed by demons.
But we are widening the scope of diagnoses in order to explain mental illness, and
we don't understand
and
yet,
are
yeah.
we explaining demonic possession as mental illness because we don't have
Understand.
a better explanation?
We're trying
for
to
it.
use science
That's
to decide
true.
everything.
Yeah. We've
Well, also
lost
things-
magic. Like, we can't just be like, whoa, yeah, we don't understand that. It must be magic or spiritual. Now we have to be like, no,
It's
it
all
must
science.
be this.
We
It
have
must
to
be
have an
that,
explanation,
You know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is it where science cannot explain, faith will?
Yeah. Like, our. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Brian.
I'm trying to remember because
like, yeah,
was-
Brian.
it was, what was it back?
Yeah.
He's getting all ready to argue with him. Like, wait, I agree
No,
with that.
yeah, like what he said. Like, yeah, Brian,
Well,
you
I
just
mean-
really like nailed everything.
I mean,
Like,
at
that's.
that point,
Say it again.
I don't even
For
remember what I was
emphasis.
gonna say now because I'm like, yeah, Brian, you just nailed it.
oh, what I said, where technology cannot explain,
Yeah.
faith will.
I thought you said science.
Yeah, he said where science cannot explain,
Science,
faith will,
technology.
and I'm just like, yeah, actually, that's
It's just the reverse of
so legit.
an advanced technology will be indistinguishable from magic at some point in the future.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, we've lost
Project
that
Bluebeam.
magic where like we have to explain everything. And so we can inaccurately explain something just through the refusal to call it magic or
Yeah,
spiritual.
and
or,
the idea of
you
science
know,
is almost cancerous.
we're making ourselves
because
dumb
yes,
because we're refusing to be open to spiritual ideas.
there has to be.
Well, I mean, if you took like
If it was-
electricity back to like the Middle Ages and showed it to someone,
Electricity is magic.
yeah, they would have been like, well,
Oh,
No,
yeah, that's what I'm
without
saying.
question. Absolutely, by definition, electricity is magic.
But that just
Yes,
goes back to
it's magic that we've explained scientifically, and we can reproduce it, but it is magic. I mean, come on.
yeah, it just
It's
goes
definitely
back to
magic.
Clouds
Magnetism-
rubbing against each other.
Magnetism is magic.
you
like-
take an iPhone back to the Middle Ages
It's magic.
and you show it to somebody, they just immediately go because it's just an advanced technology that they can't understand.
It's absolutely magic. I could give you every
You could break this
material in the
apart.
world, and every textbook in the world, every bit of knowledge, and tell you to just make me an iPhone. Good luck. It's magic.
Is demonic possession the practices and the testing of Project Bluebeam?
Targeted.
You know, Project Bluebeam, man. I don't know, man. That one messed me up.
Where they
See, we're gonna
this single person or this single family unit is experiencing the wavelength that only they can hear or only they can feel.
They didn't drink the water.
Just like, I don't know, Project Bluebeam, like, for someone with a religious background, looking into Project Bluebeam makes me question, like, everything that ever will happen in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because it's like, is it real or is it Project Bluebeam?
see, we're
know
going
what
to
I
keep
mean?
bringing it up
Yeah.
because you did that episode without us, so we didn't get to rebut any of your ideas.
Peanut butter.
But I mean,
Well, I mean,
we
you
have
can-
technologies like
You
acoustic.
know, I intentionally chose a peanut butter beer so that I could make you say peanut butter. Because you did that in like episode 1.
Peanut butter.
It was when we had Sweet Baby Jesus.
No, well, we had that. Remember, we were going to do beer of the month.
Yeah.
So we
did
had it
Sweet
for
Baby
4
Jesus for 4 episodes.
But I presented episode 2, so I had to say the name of the beer.
And you said peanut butter instead of peanut butter.
But no,
Such
I mean,
an early callback. Like 4 people understood it.
but we have technologies like acoustic levitation.
Mm-hmm.
You take that and beef it up to like
So into that. That's magic.
yeah, but you beef that up into something like shadow government scale. Sure, lift a kid walking backwards up a wall, right?
That's assuming the acoustic would already have to be in the ground pointed.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I don't think.
Well, I mean, if you calculate the harmonics of the building, you pass it through
who's
the
going to
building.
do that to a family
Yeah.
in Gary?
Although-
Like,
Why would they do any of this, right? All
well, no,
Project
to do
Booby-
it on a large scale absolutely makes sense. To fake like a
Right,
second
on a large
coming and
scale.
things like that, but to
there
do
are
it in
test
Gary,
runs.
Indiana, as
But
a test run, it just doesn't seem
random lottery,
well. Because who cares about Gary?
The
or
people
just
that live
random
there.
lottery, just like fuck it, like it's just
I mean,
I don't know the
randomly
amount of work
pull
that would
a
have
couple
to take
social security
place
numbers
there.
and fuck with them.
Yeah. I don't know. But like the more we do this podcast, the more I dig into things and have to DuckDuckGo things instead of Google
Right.
things, the more I no longer have a distrust of our government, but genuinely think it's evil. You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
I mean-
I'm moving to the side of like we're in just like a genuine battle of good versus evil at this point in the world.
Our government has a numerical identifier for every citizen that they could just run through an algorithm and randomly pick people,
It's disgusting.
right? So, I mean, why this one family? Because the bits in a computer aligned on that one number.
I don't like that.
Supercomputer dictating.
Don't
your life.
remind me of the truth. Like, I hate thinking about that. Like, what they can do and how much information they have on everyone.
I mean, they have the computers that do predictive models of every moderate to extremist group and what they might do.
I remember Tim Pool said something once about when he was working at Vice, they used to have a competition, a little joke of going of like, who has the biggest FBI file?
I remember him saying
And it's
that.
like, man, you think about it, they got a file on
I
everyone.
didn't even
and
know Tim Pool worked at Vice.
Yeah,
No, found
early
it.
days.
Yeah, like
Wow.
way early.
Yeah,
Those were
early
like-
days, back when Gavin McInnes was running it.
Yeah.
But
Interesting.
and then after Gavin left, he ended up leaving. We probably should actually cut that. I don't know if you can say Gavin McInnes on iTunes or Spotify or. No, I'm kidding. You can because this podcast is available on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, because he's a popular dude.
But it's scary, man. You think about what
Yeah.
they have on everyone. I think about how thick my file must be because I've said some things.
I would love for you to find
I
out
have
that you are
said
like
some things.
you are the Cartman, where you think your file's super huge and you get there and it's a single sheet of paper. With
I hope so. I'd love it if there's nothing.
It's like Victor's
sure
is
my
already at
file is
least that
interesting.
big.
There's no way it's nothing.
I hope so, but I've said some things, man, that are. I'm really into conspiracy
said
stuff. Like, not
before-
necessarily that I believe all the conspiracy theories, but I absolutely love to learn about them.
What we said before this podcast is enough to make quite a bit of a file.
Oh,
Yeah.
Welcome
that's
to that.
all in good fun.
Yes, but that's worth a
Let's
file.
not talk about that.
Yeah, but you know what
Yes.
the best part is?
Brian's already dug himself in that hole on this podcast before.
Yeah, but you know why it
Pretty
doesn't matter?
being the
significant.
last man on earth.
Because although,
Can't say no.
yeah, I'm gonna
The
say
implication.
it's like, yeah, we had those talks into this mic that wasn't recording, but they're already listening to you.
yeah, I mean,
They're already watching it.
That's
They're
the
watching
thing,
our
we're
sound
listening
waves.
to everything.
well, it all depends whether or not John's internet was actually running at the time that we were saying.
No,
It's
because-
down right now.
No, it's not.
It was on my phone when I tried to look something up a minute ago.
I'm connected to your Wi-Fi right now.
Yeah,
Nice.
me too.
They're dropping it.
Dude, that stuff freaks me out, though. Like, Facebook is the worst about it. You have a
talk about
conversation with something, and they talk about something, and your Facebook starts giving you ads for that thing.
Yeah,
Yep.
because your phone
I
listens
do
to
not
you.
like that. I don't like you,
Yeah.
Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, no
Before
kidding.
I deleted
Humanoid.
Swallowing a rat nonchalantly.
before I deleted TikTok, like I sit there and watch TikToks and like the music would play, and then when I go to like just like tell like YouTube Music to play random music for me.
Yeah.
Those songs that had been playing through my phone were picked up by my Google Home and were now showing up in my Google playlists.
You know,
even though they say that
that's
only listens when you say the activation word.
I'm gonna say
Yeah,
TikTok
but
was
it's
just
a lie.
horrible spyware.
and
Like that thing knew how long you would look at it, or like certain things. It knew your keystroke timing. It knew everything.
one of the things that I think about a lot is that, you know, I don't remember because I've had a bit to drink.
I am fried right now.
I'm like
great.
Facebook.
Yes.
Facebook had a project that would track you in physical meat space.
Oh, I remember what I was going to say.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry. Basically, there seems to be a correlation between knowledge in certain areas of things and kind of sort of being pulled into an evil agenda. I don't think Mark Zuckerberg ever set out to be the bad guy.
I don't think so
I don't
either.
think he ever set out to be a good guy either. I mean, his first application before Facebook
And same with
was an
dating.
application to it wasn't dating. It was just to rate the females at
Okay,
the college.
okay,
What's his
but
name?
he's a college kid who just got out of a breakup,
Yeah.
and he was upset.
and what's
Right.
his name? The dingus that runs Twitter.
Jack Dorsey.
Jack Dorsey.
Oh my god!
Jack
dude.
Dorsey, I don't think he ever set out to be the bad guy, but
Well,
we're
he's
at a
not
point
trying to be
now
the good guy either.
when I see Jack Dorsey and I'm like, that dude's evil. You know what I mean?
Well, no, I
feel
think
like there's
they're-
something that happens, and we were talking about like demons through iPhones, like
Well, there's
Brian
a-
was saying. I feel like there's this correlation between technology and like the further into it you get, the
I don't even
more
think it's
corrupted
evil.
you become, and it makes me wonder if the
Yes.
Amish had it right all
I don't
along,
even think
that,
it's
like
evil.
technology leads to.
I think it's
Yeah.
it's just a try too hard to be what they perceive as good, which is what they're trying to figure
Absolutely.
out. What they're trying to figure out the public thinks is good, they're trying
But
to do.
I don't know how they can like
But-
avoid the logical correlation of like what they're doing is like, oh, I think this is good, therefore I must silence all opposition. Like, I don't believe in
Because I think they're
fascism,
letting-
but therefore I must silence everyone
because
who
I think they're
disagrees with
letting
me.
I think they're letting what they perceive the public to believe is good, which would be
But you have to be such
mainstream
a
medium
true
and,
believer to
No.
ignore all logic.
yeah.
Here's what is so evil about the internet. It is a series of echo chambers. I experienced this personally when I used to wear Google Glass, and I would frequent the Google Glass forums.
And you thought Google Glass was great.
Yeah.
You
I thought it was
missed out
great.
on the general public being like, this is trash.
Exactly.
Okay.
I talked to other people that are like, yeah, I love wearing my glass. And I was like, yeah, I like wearing my glass. Not realizing that the world at large hated them.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Right?
that's what
No,
I'm
because-
saying. I just can't put into words what I'm thinking right now.
These individuals, they sit in these echo chambers, yes men and all these other people.
Exactly.
And they
And
think that they're right.
they're doing the right thing. They don't have ill intentions.
Yeah, that's why it's
They
hard
just
to
don't
call
have
them
a clear
evil.
picture.
The biggest
Now,
issue
here's
that I
where
have.
there's the possibility of them so the concept that knowledge is power, right?
Yeah.
They eventually, all these entities cross a threshold where they have so much knowledge.
I think we, just sorry to segue real quick, but I think we have more of an issue not of knowledge is power, but that power is knowledge. Anyone in power assumes that they have knowledge. Like, there's a guy on the radio here locally who, he's a big libertarian. He's Rob Kendall. He's on a local radio station here. And he talks quite often about how politicians are some of the dumbest people he's ever met in his life, but because they have a power, they assume they know everything.
Yeah.
No, because I think like Facebook has enough knowledge on a large enough sample of people.
But that's like
That if
in a
they
database. That's not in any one person's head.
Right, but as an entity, Facebook as an entity, they could write an algorithm right now if they wanted to and look at arrest records and what people liked, posted, or interacted with on Facebook to create a predictive algorithm like something out of Minority Report to start arresting people before they commit crimes.
But
they have that level of data on people.
And
at
they
this
don't
point.
use it because they have an evil agenda.
Which is what?
Okay,
It's
so
hard
for
to call
example,
them evil.
Facebook has written in their terms of service that a person who is under the age of, I can't remember what age, 15 or so.
COPA is 13.
Okay, 13, they cannot have a Facebook page. Also, registered sex offenders are prohibited from having a Facebook page.
Right.
How did we even get here from Portal to Hell House?
We were talking about
Blue Beam
acceptance.
possibly being a cause of Hell House.
And then we went
Government
into social media.
Social media information.
Well, social media. Yeah.
Maps.
Yeah, it all started with the whole thing where I said, I think maybe the Amish have had it right and that technology has corrupted our society to a level that there's no turning back.
But do we want to go ahead and wrap this back around to Hell House?
We're not going to be able to.
Yeah, go to hell, everybody.
Go to Hell House.
Yeah. Well, you can't anymore. It's been demolished.
Well, you can visit the site. The
Pay
lot.
respects. Make the pilgrimage to Gary, Indiana.
Yeah, just all those
Just
homeless.
lock your door. Your
That's
car
worth the
doors,
trip, yes. Not because of the Hell House.
just to see it.
Now the demons are
You
homeless.
can't even stop.
You don't need to lock the doors.
anymore.
Yes, you don't need to lock the doors
not
to your
in
car because
Gary.
of Hell House. It's
But
because it's
Muncie's
scary.
south of it, right?
No, Munster.
Munster.
Muncie.
Munster. It was whatever.
Is a very nice town.
Right, right. But it's south of there, right? It's south of Gary, isn't it?
I think it's, south of Gary, but it's nothing like Gary.
I didn't say anything like Gary. I just said if you're making this road trip.
Oh, well, you said
You
like
used to be able to stop by
I thought you meant like
Three
that
Floyds.
area is not
Were
even
you
safe
thinking of
anymore. I was
Munster or
like, Munster's
Merrillville?
nice.
'Cause
No, he's
Merrillville's-
referring to Munster, where Three Floyds was.
Because Merrillville's pretty close to Gary, too.
Yeah, Maryville's really close to Gary. That's where most of the people that grow up in Gary go to like hang out.
Yeah.
To be
Because
fair,
Gary has nothing to do.
the last time I was in that area, I was extremely sick and on a lot of like cold medication to make it through a Microsoft convention. And I don't know where I was half the time. I was just being drug along.
You're lucky you still have all your organs then.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was right after that Chinaman stole his kidney.
He gave you the cold medicine at the shop.
All right,
All right, so go to Hell House and have a good day, everybody.
go to hell, everybody.